Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we got a game in the Martel for you, Charles Martel, that is. Tier 7 French Cruiser. We got Rue on the screen there. It's an older build, still checks out. Got Norm Scott, we got Kuznetsov, set up for range on that component of it. Not a bad option on these French Cruisers. They got good accuracy, they got good velocity on the guns. They definitely are effective at range, so by boosting that, not a bad option. But a lot of gameplay these days, especially at high tiers, it's battleships, cruisers at max range, not really doing much, not moving forward. Here we're going to be highlighting an aggressive position. Now Martel, not necessarily a speed demon. A lot of, the idea about these French cruisers, they're really fast, but if you look up and down the stats, I think the only one that's really fast is the tier 4, whatever that one, the name escapes me at the moment. But I think, if I recall, that's inherently fast. The other ones become fast with the speed boost, which is an important distinction. This one, I believe the max speed is about 34 knots, give or take, until you pop the speed boost. Now we're getting into the 41, 42 range. That's when we get up there even faster the Amalfi, which on my builds is about just shy of 41 knots in the water. But we're moving into this position here. Now this is a good spot on this map. Sleeping Giant, we got domination mode game. Look where we're going to go, and then look on the map, see the consequences of getting in this position. We're essentially taking a central position that's protected more or less from all sides and able to project firepower more or less into all sides. We can hit targets into A, we can hit targets moving into B, and we're primarily covering C. So good job, we got a destroyer right to the east of us spotting. That's going to allow us to open up here. We're getting detected. That's probably through that lane that we just investigated right there, right through the B gap. But as we move close to this island, especially, we're able to lob our shots over at these long-range shots. Depends on the velocity of your guns. Some are going to have easier times getting close to these islands. Some you got to have a little bit more space. But with these long-range shots, we can lob them over no problem. But we're close enough to the island where, number one, it's going to be hard for enemy ships to sight us, line up a shot. We're not really going to be visible for them. They got to understand how to utilize the quote-unquote auto aim or whatever other aids they may have visually to line up those shots that are more or less obscured. But if we're really close to that island, then those shells coming in, there's a pretty decent chance they're actually going to hit the island as well. So, there we see some of the shots, essentially what he was trying to do there, line up a blind shot, and he aimed a little bit high. So we got 1,000 or 2,000 worth of damage, chip damage on us, but not that big of a deal. So hard shot to take is my point. Kagero moving aggressively. Now I don't know if we missed him on the map or if he just got spotted relatively recently, but this is a position where we can help project into B. You can see even ships that park behind that center island in the middle of B there, we do potentially have shots on them. So someone on our radar or someone on our team radars those ships, we can hit them. Or, if they're getting spotted like that, we got shots as well. So that's kind of the beauty of this position. We're not just focusing on one side. We got power projection all over the map. But you do have to keep an eye on, map awareness, game awareness. This is when the Ingenious perk, we got 3 ships that are thinking about shooting us, 4 ships, 5 ships that are thinking about shooting us. This is valuable information. This is not information geared to new players, which is kind of the bizarre misconception of the Ingenious perk. That's valuable information that I, as an experienced player, you as whatever level of experience you might have, that's valuable information for everyone. So anytime you can get Ingenious on there, recommended. Number 1, you get that indicator, which tells you if you're being targeted. Number 2, you get turret traverse. That's always a good thing, especially on these heavy cruisers. It's usually a limiting factor on the DPM. Notice these long-range shots, we are shooting a lot of AP. Now, you got to keep an eye on the indicators that pop up on the right side of the screen. You get multiple salvos at the same target where you're not getting much, then you might have to go ahead and switch to the HE. But due to the fact that the HE on these French cruisers is pretty good, a lot of times people will overlook the AP. Even at range, though, we got good penetration. We haven't had any rippers yet, but we're going to see some shots here with this AP where we're piling on a lot of damage. So definitely worth checking out. That's something that took me a little while when I was learning the French cruisers. Again, kind of noticing, all right, the HE is pretty good. Not quite as good as the Japanese HE, but pretty good, and the accuracy is there, so it all kind of balances out. But if you're adding in these AP shots, we're going to see a couple salvos on this chop I have you can start to add up the damage. You might see that one and say, oh, you only got one shatter. Why would you keep shooting that? Well, the follow-up salvo here, we got a full pen and a citadel. So, I mean, that kind of damage is possible, and that's more or less at a long range, max range type of a shot. Switch over to the HE at the gearing, of course, although some of these legendary tier destroyers, I'm still kind of working it out mentally, but they have enough armor plating on the sides. They're kind of cruiser-esque in terms of their armor that a lot of times you can start thinking about shooting some AP, at least testing out those salvos. See if they're all overpenning, then you're probably going to get better results with the HE. But if you're getting a few pens here and there mixed in with some overpens, all of a sudden that can become more profitable. So again, those legendary tier destroyers, I'm still personally working it out mentally, but a lot of them have enough armor that they should be able to take some damage. Tago kind of hanging out there. Again, these guys looking on the map, they got the north-south kind of feel that this map usually has. Usually ships are going to drop anchor right where they spawn, or they're going to move into these positions. Then they're going to angle at each other, and they're just going to lob shells at well-angled targets after well-angled targets. By getting into this position right here, this is the beauty of it, and this is why we want to continue to use that AP, because now they're trying to angle towards the south. That's going to present broadside towards us, or as these guys that sailed all the way around A, doing God knows what. Now, you know, in the next 5 minutes or so, they're going to come back here. They're going to start projecting power west to east. And these guys that are sitting up north there, they're going to be forced to angle towards them. Again, we're going to have access to the broadside. So looking at it on the map, we're basically in the center of the map here. And they basically, the red team has to more or less angle directly south or directly west. And in either case, we're going to have plenty of juicy shots here. Now, we do got some incoming fire. Want to be bobbing back and forth, keeping a move on it. We don't want to make, you know, it easy to spot us, easy to line up shots, citadel shots. So moving back and forth, the main goal is to drop spot. Whenever we can shoot without being spotted, then essentially we can deal damage without taking damage in return. That's the golden ratio in World of Warships. But if we're spotted and we're moving back and forth, a little bit harder, a little bit more difficulty in terms of lining up the shots. And again, you know, some of these shots are connecting, some of them not, but the opportunities are there. You know, sometimes you just got to tighten up your aim a little bit. Sometimes you got to tighten up the RNG. Some of that's out of your control, but as long as you're presenting yourself with these opportunities for these broadside salvos, that's when the wicked damage is always there. So, again, on this map, this is a strong position. There's 3 or 4 maps. I'm going to try and point them out, you know, in the upcoming days as we're going over other maps. You know, if we find these aggressive positions, start to look for them. You know, high tiers, again, it's very common to just sit in the back and kind of lob shells, and then whenever your destroyers go down, then you're just kind of boned. At that point in time, you already lost the game. But if you're in these aggressive positions safely, you got to get there safely. You don't want to kill yourself, and there's going to be certain positions where the risk outweighs the benefit. You know, there's kind of 3 categories. There's too risky, there's risky, and then there's pretty safe. And this one would fall into the pretty safe category. Again, if you notice the deployment, we barely got spotted, or I don't even think we got spotted until we got into this position. Martel, we go ahead and plug the Atago there. More AP. Look at the Vanguard shots here. 4,000, not too bad. The Martel reloads pretty quickly, so if you can get 4,000, what's the reload on this? 8-10 seconds, something like that. That's pretty good DPM. Again, worth investigating. The Vanguard, potentially we could push through the Citadel as well for aim and waterline. You just want to be experimenting with these shots, keeping an eye on the aim indicator. Anyway, we got the 2 caps. Looking on the game flow, we've kind of flipped spots. You know, our team's now all the way in the north. That's because they all sailed all the way around A, and now they're kind of coming back around. It's like they were using the gravity of the moon to kind of slingshot themselves back like the Apollo astronauts used to have to do. But they're coming around, and then red has kind of pushed themselves all the way to the east. So we're moving in aggressively here. We don't want to let the Wichita move south, because that potentially creates crossfires. They also got the gearing. You know, he's priority target number 1. He's just a major problem. Long-range torps, low concealment, you know, the drill destroyers, potentially a spot for these other targets. But we're angled towards the Wichita. We got really, you know, relatively close range shots at this Wichita. Keep checking the battleship, because we want to get some torps down on him if he's trying to rush us. or if he just loses track of us and presents us with the opportunity. But there's the shots we're looking for in the Wichita. So again, we're kind of pointed right at this Wichita here. He's able to damage us, but he's not able to kill us as quickly as he needs to. And because he's basically sailing broadside, then it's not a fair fight. We remove him very quickly. Teammates take out the battleship. The gearing's on the run. The game's wrapped up. So again, not necessarily a massive barn burner in terms of raw damage, but I just wanted to highlight that game because it shows the effectiveness of that position quite well. And there's a lot of cruisers that can get there safely and utilize that. Destroyers, if you're not required to spot, or as the game progresses, you can potentially use that spot. Even battleships sometimes profit by getting in there anyways. So anyway, that's a look at the Martel for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.